Hi, I'm Jillian Griffith, registered dietitian nutritionist and FCAC member. March is National Nutrition Month. As part of the Red Shoe Challenge, welcome to the final segment of our 5-part information series, and we are talking about the power of produce. So the first question you may have is, what is the recommended daily serving amount of fruits and vegetables? Well, it's actually 2 cups of fruit and 2.5 cups of non-starchy vegetables. But remember, we've talked about this throughout the past few weeks. We want to make sure that we are building half a plate of produce, a quarter plate of grains, and a quarter plate of protein. And for that half a plate of produce, we want to make sure we are eating the rainbow, because all of those different colors, all of those different pigments are associated with different vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, antioxidants. So we want to make sure our plate is colorful. Now, in the grocery store, I get a lot of questions around organic and non-organic produce. Is organic healthier? Well, in short, organic and conventional produce are agricultural designations that define how something is grown. It's not a nutritional term. And then if we ever see natural, that's just a marketing term. There's no one checking natural. So companies can just throw that on their product at their free will. Now, generally, organic operations must demonstrate that they are protecting natural resources, conserving biodiversity, and using only approved substances in their growing process. Studies show that there's no difference in nutrition or quality between organic and conventional foods. A lot of conventional farmers are using some of the same practices as organic farmers, but one, they may not want to pay for that organic designation because that icon requires money, or there may be something slightly off that doesn't allow them to have that designation. Both conventional and organic farmers use pesticides approved by their guidelines, and both are regulated to ensure the consumer's safety. So at the end of the day, ultimately, it's a personal choice to the consumer. Now, we on the Giant Nutrition team recommend people eat more fruits and veggies, whether conventionally or organically grown. It's far more advantageous for health to eat more produce than to limit it because of unnecessary fear of pesticides, or to eat less because you're scared into paying more for organic. Another question we get in the grocery store is, what does it mean when produce is non-GMO? So let's just break it down really quickly. GMOs mean genetically modified organisms. There are actually only 10 products that are genetically modified, but you will find thousands of products labeled GMO-free, even those that have no genes to modify in the first place. So oftentimes it's a marketing claim. This labeling is an attempt to give them a health halo. So the 10 genetically modified crops available today are alfalfa, apples, canola, corn, both field and sweet, cotton, papaya, potatoes, soybeans, squash, and sugar beets. Now, GMOs are regarded safe for human health according to the National Academy for Science, which is the United States' #1 source for independent, objective advice on matters of science and technology. Although they are very helpful for farmers and the environment, they do not at this time offer more nutritional value than their non-GMO counterparts. So just like with organic, it is up to you. Another question we get in the store is, how should we wash and store our produce, including those pre-washed items? Now, there are a lot of different ideas out there about how you should store your produce, but it's often a personal preference, and it really depends on how quickly you plan to use that produce. The chief culprits in the breakdown of our fresh produce are air, moisture, light, temperature, and ethylene gas. So those top 5. Now, some general rules of thumb are, first, don't wash your produce until you're ready to eat it. Produce should be kept dry. So if your grocery store keeps the veggies in water or sprays them, make sure you take a towel and dry them off before storing them in your refrigerator. And then be sure to store your fruits and vegetables whole. So don't pre-cut them before putting them in the refrigerator. And then store them the same way that you find them in the grocery store. That's an easy way to know how to store them. Now, the fruits and veggies that we want to make sure are stored at room temperature, for our fruits, it's going to be bananas, pineapples, melons. For our veggies, it's going to be tomatoes, winter squash, and corn. And then also onions and potatoes should be stored out of light and in the pantry. Garlic, onions, potatoes will start to sprout if they're left under harsh light, and they'll get mushy if they're kept in the fridge. Potatoes can start to turn green if they're in harsh light, and their starches will turn into sugar if they're refrigerated. Now, our refrigerator, we want to make sure it's set between 35 degrees and 38 degrees Fahrenheit, definitely below 40. And as I mentioned, don't cut your produce before storage. That's going to help with its shelf life. The crisper drawer in your refrigerator can actually help save your produce. It's not just another storage drawer. Many crisper drawers are temperature controlled with a little toggle or a small vent. You can slide that vent open for fruit because they don't like humidity, and then keep that vent closed for vegetables because they do like to be in high humidity so that they don't lose their moisture. A good tip is to remember this rule of thumb: rot low, wilt high. Fruits that are prone to rot belong in the low humidity drawer, while produce that's prone to wilting needs to be enclosed completely in the high humidity drawer. So that high humidity, drawer should contain produce that is sensitive to moisture loss and to ethylene gas, which increases the ripening time. So this is going to include your broccoli, cauliflower, citrus, cucumbers, eggplant, green beans, greens like chard and spinach, lettuce, parsley, peppers, raspberries, strawberries, squash, sweet potatoes, mushrooms. These are going to be produce items that should be in your high humidity drawer. Now, the low humidity drawer that has no airflow should contain those apples, apricots, avocados, ripe bananas, cantaloupes, figs, honeydew, melons, kiwi, nectarines, papayas, peaches, pears, and plums. Now, your next question may be, well, how can I tell when my produce has gone bad? The real simple answer is use your 5 senses. Sight, touch, smell. If you don't want to use taste, I understand, but use those 5 senses. And if you think it's close to going bad, make sure that you're doing what you can to use it. That can be roasting those veggies or freezing them before they do go bad. Make sure that you're using it to eliminate food waste. We've reached the end of our series for National Nutrition Month. I really hope you've learned something about nutrition and healthy food choices and have been inspired to try something new. If you need to catch up on any of our previous episodes, please be sure to do so. There's lots of really great information. And if you're looking for additional resources, don't forget that you can reach out to a Giant Food nutritionist at giantfoods.com/nutrition for a free consultation to take our free classes and access additional resources.